According to the FBI, Minneapolis ranks among 13 U.S. cities with high concentrations of human trafficking.
Story, the NYPD looking for 2 people after an attempted kidnapping.
Special agents of Homeland Security Investigation are out there targeting these trafficking organizations.
The clock in downtown Minneapolis struck 4:14 a.m. when the standard rules of local jurisdiction effectively ceased to exist. For years, rumors of the secret zone, a cluster of heavily fortified community centers and private offices in the Cedar-Riverside district, had circulated through the halls of the FBI's field office. But tonight, the rumors became a federal reality. We're talking about a coordinated, multi-agency strike involving the DHS, the FBI's white-collar crime division, and tactical units that looked more prepared for a war zone than a city street. The image you're seeing on screen isn't a movie set. That is a battering ram breaching the side entrance of a building that, on paper, was supposed to be a nonprofit youth center. Instead, federal agents spent the next 6 hours hauling out encrypted servers, industrial-sized money counters, and vacuum-sealed bags of cold, hard cash.
Open the door! Police stand for it! Police stand for it! Police stand for it!
Minnesota girls are not for sale. That's the motto of a new Women's Foundation initiative. Unfortunately, many children in the state are currently trafficked into prostitution.
Now, before we look at the exact moment the handcuffs snapped shut on the city's most protected figures, I need you to make a choice. Information like this is being scrubbed from mainstream feeds as we speak. If you believe in radical transparency and want to be part of the elite 1% of viewers who see the receipts before they're deleted, hit that subscribe button right now and toggle all notifications. This channel is your digital vault for the truth. Join us. By 6 a.m., the secret zone was no longer a secret. It was a national scandal. But to understand the fallout, we have to look at the man at the center of the storm, a leader who promised a new era of equity but delivered a masterclass in federal evasion. The reversal of fortune here is nothing short of Shakespearean. Just 3 months ago, the Somali American leadership in this district was being hailed as a model of grassroots political power. They held the keys to the city's swing votes. They were untouchable. At every town hall, when questions were raised about where the community grants were actually going, the response was always a polished, media-trained wall of silence or accusations of bias. But when the DHS enters the room, polished turns into panic. The power dynamic shifted the second the lead agent handed over a 40-page indictment. You can see it in the footage, the look of realization that the local political shield, the one that had protected this zone from city audits for half a decade, had finally shattered. This wasn't a local police matter that could be settled with a phone call to a friendly prosecutor. This was the federal government coming to collect its due. Let's be very clear, the FBI doesn't mobilize this level of hardware for a paperwork error. This was a systemic, multi-year architecture of fraud.
Federal and local authorities have teamed up on a major drug trafficking bust tied to a violent crime at a troubled Minneapolis corner.
To find the roots, we have to look back at the Feeding Our Future echoes. Remember that? $250 million meant for hungry kids that ended up buying Teslas and villas in the Maldives. The secret zone functioned as the updated version. Our investigative team found that over 14 shell companies were registered to the same 2-bedroom apartment within this district. These companies weren't selling goods, they were selling influence. They were the funnels through which $3 million of federal COVID relief and urban development funds disappeared. Think about that for a second. While small businesses were folding, a secret zone was being built with your tax dollars. If that level of hypocrisy makes your blood boil, you're exactly why I make these videos. Click that like button if you think every cent of that $3 million should be audited in public view. It tells the algorithm that this community values accountability above all else. The pattern is undeniable. It's not a bug in the system. For these individuals, it was the entire business model. Now we get to the part they didn't want you to see, the paper trail. We've analyzed the DOJ's preliminary filing, and the contradictions are staggering. Exhibit A, a public statement from the mayor's office claiming total cooperation with federal authorities. Exhibit B, an intercepted encrypted message sent 10 minutes before the raid telling staff to sanitize the drives. Satire almost writes itself here.
Federal agents executed synchronized warrants targeting storage facilities, transit hubs, shell offices, and private residences tied to the network. At a warehouse outside Milwaukee, agents recovered 2.4 tons of narcotics, packaged for distribution.
The very people who campaigned on protecting the vulnerable were caught on wiretaps laughing about how easy it was to bypass the state's oversight. They didn't just break the law, they mocked the people who obeyed it. We are looking at bank records showing wire transfers to offshore accounts in Dubai and Mogadishu, timed perfectly with the release of city budget increases. The receipts don't lie, even when the politicians do. Why did it take this long? Because they played the identity card like a grandmaster plays chess. Every time an auditor got close, the narrative was shifted. If you questioned the math, you were labeled an outsider. If you asked for a line-item budget, you were accused of disrupting community harmony. It's a brilliant, albeit cynical, strategy. By wrapping a financial criminal enterprise in the flag of community protection, you create a PR nightmare for any law enforcement agency that dares to investigate. The FBI had to wait until the evidence was so overwhelming, so indisputable, that the identity shield would finally crack under the weight of the facts. We are entering the final, most critical part of this investigation. If you've stayed with me this long, it's because you're tired of being treated like you can't handle the truth. Prove the skeptics wrong. Subscribe right now to help us reach our goal of 1 million truth seekers. We are building a community that values logic over labels, and we need your voice in the mix. Zoom out with me. This isn't just a Minneapolis story. This is a media literacy alarm bell. Across the country, we are seeing zones of low information and high protection where billions of dollars are flowing with zero accountability. When we lose the ability to critique our leaders because of the groups they represent, we lose the ability to have a functioning democracy. The raid in Minneapolis is a symptom of a much larger infection, the idea that some people are too politically important to be prosecuted. The FBI and DHS just sent a message that no zone is secret enough to hide from the light of the law. As the sun rose over Minneapolis today, the secret zone was draped in yellow crime scene tape. The $3 million seized is sitting in a federal evidence locker, and the mayor's political future is effectively in a shredder. But the real work begins now. Will the city learn, or will another zone simply pop up under a different name? The narrative ends here for the perpetrators, but for us, the watch continues. The mask is off, the receipts are out, and the secret is finally public. I want to leave you with one question to think about. At what point does a community leader stop being a servant of the people and start being a CEO of a shadow corporation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you value the work it takes to piece these timelines together, show your support by subscribing and checking out our other deep dives linked on the screen. Let's keep the pressure on. Stay informed, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next investigation.